Okay, today we are playing a game on the Temple of Anubis. We are in the Silver SR range, and we are playing Reaper the entire way through. And as a consequence of being in the Silver SR range, I don't really care what our current team composition is, because when you're like below gold, people don't even know how to play their heroes yet. And as a result of not knowing how to play their heroes, team compositions don't really function as they should. So there isn't much point worrying about your team composition beyond, do we have a healer? Do we have a tank? Even the tank sometimes, like, doesn't necessarily matter that much. There's not much point worrying about team comp too deeply in Silver SR, so we're just going to start the game. So we have to defend Anubis, which is always very fun. Everybody loves playing on the Temple of Anubis, yes sir. So we decide we're going to come and wait down here. And we see D.Va float on by, and we use Wraith Form to catch up to the D.Va. I'm not a big fan of using Wraith Form thusly, because whole enemy team are going to be coming behind that gate, through that gate behind us in a second, probably, trying to follow D.Va in. And, like, D.Va isn't far enough away that we really need to use Wraith Form to catch up to her. Like, you can just shoot her in the back and save Wraith Form instead. Like, she's a big girl in mech. You didn't really need to use Wraith... We didn't really need to... I don't like saying you. We didn't need to use Wraith Form to catch up to her right there, and we could save it instead in case we need it. Also, if D.Va's just going to float on past us like that, we could instead decide, I'm going to wait here, because one of the squishier members of her team is probably going to try and push in the doorway behind her, and I'm going to try and finish them off instead. By the same token, Reaper is really good at killing tanks, so, you know, you are also justified in going after the D.Va in that position, but you could also elect to be like, I'm going to wait. So we come upon the pawn there, Reaper right there, and basically we decide we're going to call it a draw. I would have had a great deal of respect for the play if we Wraith formed right up to him afterwards and tried to finish him off, but that would be very scary, especially since we don't know what his Wraith form is like right now. So half our team are dead right now, so things are not exactly looking good, because they're going to reinforce way faster than our teammates are. Here's Symmetra. Symmetra decides she's going to disengage and run away. We use Wraith form to catch up to her. That's okay to do if you're confident you're going to kill the Symmetra, because she's by herself, so using Wraith Form to catch up to her is no big deal. Like, nobody else is likely to pop out and kill you. But you do have to be confident you're going to kill the Symmetra, because if she tethers to you and you don't kill her quickly, she's going to kill you as soon as she starts ramping up damage. Reaper, in general, is a hero that has to play pretty confidently. There's no, like, poking and prodding with Reaper before a fight starts. You have to just be like, I'm gonna fight and kill these assholes right now. So here, we use Wraith Form, like, really early during this fight for no particular reason, other than, I suppose, to try and get up behind this Reaper quickly, but now we don't have it to use during the fight. If you're gonna use Wraith Form as a gap closer, you have to be, like, really confident you're not gonna need to use Wraith Form during the subsequent fight. And we did actually have Wraith Form off cooldown briefly there. We might have been able to use it to try and get away, though also, like, half our team are dead. It's not exactly looking good by that point. If you're going to use Wraith Form as a gap closer, you do have to be really confident that you're going to not need to use it, like, during the fight. And that, like, nobody's going to gank you while you're trying to fight as well. It's, Reaper is a hero that benefits from, like, really confident play. Especially since he also has to use his cooldowns to fight, usually, as well. So, with the exception of Teleport, which is obviously used to get you into position to fight first. So we've decided to come and wait up here, as a Reaper typically does do on this map, and we jump down on the Bridget. Now, Bridget's a scary one to do this to, because we know the rest of her team are coming behind her, right? Like, at least Junkrat's behind her. So, like, if we shoot her in the back, Bridget just goes bash, and then her and the rest of her team can try and kill us, and we'll probably just end up having to use Wraith Form to run away, which is indeed what happens. So, rather than trying to kill the Bridget right there, we'd be better off, like, either hopping over and going for the, backline behind her, or waiting for someone a little bit more fragile to go under us and then trying to jump on them. Bridget's a difficult one to assassinate. Reaper's got better odds of doing it than any other flanker has, but she's still difficult to do it to, especially when her team are in the vicinity as well. So we would have been better off waiting for an easier-to-kill member of their team to slide by. So we have Death Blossom right now, so we kind of want to come up behind them to try and kill somebody with it. And I'm not really sure what happened here. It kind of looks like we just sort of lost nerve to keep fighting. Like, there's a baby diva and a Junkrat over there, it looks like. We could just, like... We go further back. Nope, this is too far back, but whatever, good enough. We could just, like, go along the right-hand side. Let me draw instead of pointing like a dumbass. We could just go, like, this way, come up behind them, try to assassinate someone, or spin on a bunch of people, and then wraith form all the way back to our team. Instead, we, like, come up this way, like, ready for it, and then we're like, no, actually, I don't really want to do so, and we end up just disengaging. We could have gone looking for something right there. It looks like there's a baby diva and a Junkrat over there. We could go and spin on them and stagger them, or just try and assassinate them by themselves. Feels bad, man. Or try to assassinate them without Death Blossom, and we've got it if we need it, you know? Reaper in general has a pretty big buffer for trying to kill somebody. Because he's got Wraith Form, and Wraith Form's a really good escape, especially since they added the speed boost, because look, woo, we're gone. We're just fucking gone suddenly. So you can go for some pretty risky stuff, and as long as you know you aren't just going to get bursted to death or crowd controlled, you can go for some pretty aggressive assassination attempts and still get away with it because of Wraith Form. Honestly, I wouldn't, like, I'm looking at that, and I'm like, I might just spin, honestly. I might just start spinning on them at that point. If the Reaper shoots you really convincingly, it would end up in death, but things are not exactly going well, regardless. If I don't spin on them before, after I pick up that health kit, I'm just like, alright, I'm gonna spin. They do have shield generator health because they have a fucking Symmetra on their team, so it's possible Reaper could kill you before you actually end up killing them with Death Blossom, but like, you know, more likely what he's gonna do is just use Wraith Form to try and avoid damage. We'll kill Symmetra, and then we can fight Reaper or Wraith Form away. We were in a difficult position to escape. If we go further back, I should have done this part before that whole thing right there. So we Wraith Form back this way. The thing is with Wraith Forming this way is that there's kind of nowhere for us to really go, right? Because Reaper can use Wraith Form to catch up to us as well, and we've got like a longer distance to go to get back to safety. We also then get like mad greedy and decide that we're going to wait for this health kit. We could have kept running, and probably actually survived. Reaper could have used Wraith Form to catch up to us, and he would have definitely been justified in doing so, but he elected not to. So we actually could have gotten away if we kept running backwards, but we got greedy and hung around on the health kit instead. I just don't think spinning on them had a decent chance of just killing them, honestly, though. So, because we know they have a shield generator, we should actually be interested in breaking that right now. The enemy team at this point, they've lost that fight, so they're respawning. We've just found Mercy over here, so we want to try and kill her as well. Because, you know, we're playing Reaper. But we, during a period of downtime, we want to try and find their shield generator. Where are they likely to have put a shield generator on the attacking side of Anubis? I don't really know, but we do know they had a shield generator, so we could go looking for that during the period of downtime. Unless someone broke it while I wasn't looking. Which is possible, you know, I'll admit to that. I have a habit of going off into my own world. It looked like that Junkrat still had a lot of health, so I'm guessing it's still out there. So we're trying to kill Bridget right now. Bridget's a hard one to kill. We did just see her use Shield Bash. Correct. Yeah, she did use Shield Bash right there, so, you know, we can just, like, we hesitate for a moment. We've got Wraith Form, and she just used Shield Bash. We could just, like, keep going. But we hesitate for a moment instead. When you've got Wraith Form, like, that's a pretty big buffer. It's not quite recall, but, like, it's pretty good. You've got a good chance of getting away still. So we've gone back up into the usual position, and we've decided to spin, finally, on just Reaper. Not recommended, only Reaper. He can Wraith Form away, as indeed he did, though he almost let us kill him anyway. Not recommended. I'm sure we could have found a better opportunity to spin than that one. We had a couple of better opportunities to spin than that one already. So Junkrat's popped out in front of us, and, you know, we took a big burst of damage because it's Junkrat. If we shoot him like so and see that he's actually really low health, you know, there's a world where we just immediately see that health and, like, Wraith form behind him to, like, avoid the bombs and try to kill him. But that would be a very confident play to perform. And you'd also have to react quite quickly once you find out what his health is. Because basically, Junkrat's gonna blast you back in that position. So once you see the health, like, he is gonna throw the mine to get you out of his face. So, like, when you shoot him and see the health, you're like, he's actually, like, half dead right now. He has Wraith form, avoid the mine that he's gonna throw at you, and then Wraith form up, like, keep on him and finish him off. We killed him in the end anyway. But there, you know, if you react in time, it's not impossible to have reacted to that, but we would have had to have been pretty ready to do it. Reaper, he's a very opportunistic hero. So you've got to be, like, he kills people. Reaper's job is fucking murdering people, right? Because he can kill anybody, basically. And he's a great duelist, because he's got lifesteal, and he's got Wraith form, which is real good, now that you can cancel it, and it reloads your guns as well. So you have to be ready to capitalize on on openings that the enemy team gives you. Or mistakes, or capitalize on mistakes the enemy team have made, basically, as well, as another way of putting it. So we're creeping up on their Mercy right now. I'd rather we wait to get a little bit closer to her than to do that, because this far away, the shot's not really going to do very much, and shooting her from that far away reveals that we're there. So I would have rather we got, like, a little bit closer to Mercy first, so that when we get that first shot into her while she's surprised, it's like a very meaty shot, instead of just like, some chip damage from further away. Reaper is one of those heroes, like, he's got to get close to people before he's actually threatening, right? So you don't want to like, if you're trying to sneak up on somebody, you don't want to fire from far away, because that's just going to give away the fact that you're there. And Reaper's biggest strength is the element of surprise. He's able to get into some very weird positions because of teleport, or shadow step, if I want to use the actual name. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, God, excuse me. He's able to get into some unusual positions because of Shadow Step, and he can kill you very quickly because of just how much damage he does close range. So if you've got the element of surprise, you don't want to give it away by firing from really far away. So here we die to Mercy. And what I want to illustrate during this is that we just walk at Mercy during a straight line. We do, watch now. Straight line right at her. That's making it real easy for her to shoot us in the skull, right? You gotta vary your movement a little bit more than that. Granted, we're going through an alleyway at the time, so we don't have the greatest opportunity for maneuvers, but, like, you don't want to just walk at someone in a straight line. You want to vary your movement a little bit. You know, side to side, crouch, uncrouch, jump. Whatever you think. You don't want to just walk at someone in a straight line. Because if you're walking at someone in a straight line, they're just like, ding, 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 you die. So you gotta vary up your movement when you're trying to run somebody down. And, like, yeah, if you vary your, like, start strafing around and crouching and all that, you keep what you're, like, slower than them while you're doing that. But at the same time, if you just walk at them in a straight line, ding, 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 dead. And then you end up dying to the Mercy, which is real sad. So Bridget's down here. We don't want to get shield bash. She just used shield bash, so at that point you can just, like, go. Like, once you see Bridget use shield bash, you can just go. She's not going to fend you off as Reaper anymore. She can push you back with Whip Flail, but, like, the thing that's going to keep her alive during the fight with you is gone at that point, so you can just go on her. So we're up in the usual spot. Like, you know, honestly, I think I might just ult at that point just to try and kill the Mercy right there, because she don't know we're there, and there's not actually anybody for her to Valkyrie to in a very convenient location. There was D.Va, but D.Va was directly under us. I might have just span on her to be like, I'm gonna kill you during Valkyrie while there's only 30 seconds left on the clock. That might be an egregious use of company resources, but fuck would Mercy be upset. And that would be good enough for me, frankly. Sometimes it's about tilting the enemy more than anything else. So Junkrat just used the tire right there. So we did have the opportunity to break the tire before it flew away from us, which is good to do if you can. But you know, bare minimum, we killed Junkrat. Here we spin basically just to kill Baby Diva. Like, oh no, Reinhardt did actually get knocked down as well. Yeah, he got knocked down by our Earth Shatter as well. I don't know if that was part of the plan exactly. Usually when you're spinning on a tank, that's a loss in DPS compared to just shooting them as Reaper. And basically spinning right there doesn't really do anything except kill Baby Diva. I'd rather just shoot Baby Diva than spin on her. Like, you can probably kill Baby Diva without spinning. And like, yeah, it's a little harder to do that as Reaper. But spinning just to kill Baby Diva isn't really a great use of company resources. Spinning to kill the Mercy and Valkyrie, bit of a higher priority than Baby Diva. And the only other person in the area was Reinhardt. He did get Earth Shattered next to us as well, so there is that, but I don't know if if that played into it or it was just like, I want to kill Baby Diva. So we try to teleport into the room over there and mess it up. It's a very scary teleport to go for. Aim better, aim better. Helpful advice, I know. This is a scary maneuver to pull off if you don't know exactly what the enemy team composition is. Because if there's a Junkrat on the enemy team, good chance he's just sitting over there waiting for somebody to try and push through the door. Like, he's going to be sitting over there spamming into the doorway. So if you teleport into that room, like, without knowing what the enemy team composition is, there's ways you get punished for that by just them being in the area. So you've got to, you know, you got to kind of figure out what the enemy team is before anything else. So I do like how confidently we come up to try and kill the Torbjorn right there. Tragically, we end up getting killed by the turret afterwards. We use Wraithform to close the gap, correct? Yeah, and well, also partly because of, like, the position we ended up in. I do like how decisively we come up on this Torbjorn. If we just executed it better mechanically, this would have gone great. Because we only barely died, so that's just a mechanical thing. Where like if we executed it mechanically better, that would have worked out great. I like how confidently we went on him. We just failed on the mechanical side of it, unfortunately, which happens sometimes. Like, the engage can be perfectly fine, and you're just, you know, you're gonna miss. And then, because you missed, you end up dying. The decision itself was still fine, you just failed on it mechanically instead, which is sad and happens sometimes. That's the important thing to remember as well, is that, it's possible to fuck up, but it was the correct decision, even though you fucked up. So, when you die, or when you make a mistake in general, it's important to think as well, was this a bad idea? Or was it a good idea and I just failed to execute it correctly, right? Because that affects how you learn from it, right? It could have been the correct decision. It's just if you then fail to execute mechanically well enough to complete it, then it can look like it was the wrong decision. It can have been the right decision. It's just the mechanical aspect was the failure instead. So, important to remember, whenever you die or any play goes wrong or anything like that, just think, was it a bad decision? Or was it a good decision and I just didn't execute it correctly? Because that affects what you're meant to take away from that mistake. Which is either, you know, don't do that, or aim better, basically. But it's possible sometimes to fail. It's possible to fail mechanically and then it looks like you made the wrong decision. It can have been the right decision. Didn't really need to use Shadow Step to do that because it doesn't really get us anywhere, and Shadow Step is a pretty long cooldown. We do catch up to Torbjorn in time to kill him. Their Reinhardt's dead, so this is looking like it's going to be this is looking pretty good for snowball potential right here. So we accidentally immediately cancel Wraithform, which is unfortunate. I've done that more times than I care to admit, where I've just been, like, holding down left click to shoot someone, and then I've been like, I'm gonna Wraithform away right now, and I've forgotten to disengage the left click, and then just immediately come out of Wraithform and die. I've done that more times than I care to admit. So let's go back. What happened here? So, We're going in on Bridget, then we get stunned and basically killed as a result of that. Did we even really need to use Wraith Form right there? We do want the health kit. We didn't really need to use Wraith Form right there anyway to begin with, because, like, Bridget's already stunned us, so it's basically to avoid damage at that point that you would Wraith Form, but we aren't that damaged yet, and our team are behind us, like 165 health. We're still pretty healthy. Didn't really need to use Wraith Form there anyway. And then because we don't have Wraith Form after that, we're open to getting killed. You do have to be a lot more careful when Wraith Form is on cooldown, because you're much more vulnerable when Wraith Form is on cooldown. It's the same as if you're playing Tracer and Recall is on cooldown. You have to play more conservatively while Recall is on cooldown, because Recall is how you get out of danger. Same deal for Reaper. If Wraith Form is on cooldown, you're way easier to kill, because that's how you get out of trouble. That being said, also, like, Reaper, you have to be more cautious. Oh, we don't even get to see it. God damn it. You have to be more cautious when, Wraith Form is on cooldown, because Reaper doesn't even have Blink to fall back on, right? Like, he's a big boy, he's a big slow boy, so real easy to just get killed when Wraith Form is on cooldown. Didn't really need to use it right there. So let's see what we got here. We got, you know, Hacker uses PvE heroes in competitive. Wasn't that fun? Daisy Brown. Yeah, Nightmind is if you're into, like, horror type content and, like, web series, like horror-based web series, basically, Nightmind's really good. Check them out. What else we got? Fallout 3 is better than you think. You know, that's really interesting to me, that back when Fallout New Vegas came out, people were like, Fallout New Vegas is awful, Fallout 3 is way better. And now, like, 10 years later, the opinion on that is completely flipped. Where people are like, hey, New Vegas is actually, like, a classic, and Fallout 3 is, like, pretty meh. That will kill your indie game. 30 things I hate about your game pitch. Detroit, can't watch that, I want to play the game. Dungeons and Dragons. Ex-BioWare death mocks passing of YouTuber Total Biscuit. Very classy. I love Bridget too. Cool, how about that? Yeah. Oh, you can't see that one. Trust me, that's what it says. I'm not just projecting. Very classy maneuver. Someone's dead. Let's immediately start bad-mouthing them. Anyway, you know. I don't know what I'm talking about. So, I can't think of a recurring thing from this video other than Wraith Form, basically. You gotta be real careful about how you use Wraith Form, is the moral of the story. Reaper in general is a pretty simple hero to play. A lot of it is, decision-making. Reaper is a pretty methodical hero. He's a very versatile hero. This is what, like, I very much like Reaper. He's one of my favorite heroes to play, because he's very versatile. You can play him, like, offensively, defensively, and as a flanker. Offense and flanking are not necessarily the same thing. And the thing is, though, that Reaper, he requires a very confident and pretty methodical playstyle, because he doesn't really, like, Tracer and Genji being very mobile and difficult to hit heroes, small, mobile, with a few survival options. They can kind of wing it to an extent. Like, you can kind of just go in without a firm plan and, like, fight people. Reaper, he can't do that. A lot of it is, like, get into position with Shadow Step. The idea is that you start teleporting outside of line of sight into somewhere that is also line of sight, so they don't know that you've done it at all. And then working your way up behind them, being like, I'm gonna try and kill X. And so I'm just going to, like, walk up behind him, try and kill him. Hopefully I do. And then I'm going to Wraith Form. Even if I do or I don't, I'm just going to Wraith Form back through the choke point to my team. And then I'm just going to keep doing that until it works. He's a slow hero. All he's got is Wraith Form. And you often have to use Wraith Form in the fight, either to reload or dodge something like Flashbang, Shield Bash, what have you. So You've gotta have a pretty firm idea of what you're gonna do in the fight when you're playing Reaper, because he's bulky and slow, so you've gotta know what you're going to do to a certain extent. He's a hero that benefits from, like, confident play and planning out what you want to do in the engagement, what you're trying to do in the engagement, figuring out, like, who you're going to try and focus and get to, because you might have to Wraith form to get to that person as well in the middle of the fight. All kinds of things like that. So, like, Wraith form was the thing that stood out the most, but, like, you know, we talked about a bunch of things, so thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, and I hope you found the video helpful.